Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
The judiciary has often been called the last hope of the common man. But in Nigeria, it is also one of the most scrutinized institutions. But one question most Nigerians ask is, can our courts truly safeguard democracy? Are they impartial referees or just pawns in the larger political game? And you know, from controversial electoral tribunal rulings to judgments that challenge government policies to judiciary, the judiciary generally is constantly at the center of every national debate. And in recent weeks, landmark courts' decisions have stirred conversations across the country, from rulings that overturned military service rules that we just saw a few days ago, to economic policies, and even deciding electoral outcomes. These are not just legal technicalities, they carry real consequences for citizens and governance. Yet, for every ruling hailed as victory for justice, others are met with suspicion, feeding the perception of political influence. So tonight, we ask the question, is Nigeria's judiciary truly the guardian of our democracy, or has it become another battlefield for power? It's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways, and my name is Chioma Kalu. Tonight, like we said earlier, our conversation would be centered on the judiciary and democracy. Are they the last hope truly, or are they just a political tool? Now remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussions. Head on now to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, hit that subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends and family to join the show. Now, when I open my phone lines, I'd really love to hear your insights on this topic. And as always, like we do on this show every evening, here's a quote for the day for you to ponder on. It says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And this was said by Martin Luther King Jr. We'll get into this much later, but first let's go on a break. And when I come back, I'll take you through my news interest for the day. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome. You're still watching Ways, and here are three news stories that caught my attention today. The first one was something said by our former president, one of our former presidents, Goodluck Jonathan. He said, "Nigeria's politics is about betrayal. I witnessed it in 2015. Now, former President Goodluck Jonathan has accused his allies of betraying him during the 2015 elections. Speaking on Thursday at Michael Hadiome's 70th birthday celebration in Benin, Edo State capital, Jonathan said many Nigerian politicians cannot be trusted. And he said, "Politics in the Nigerian standard is about betrayals. I witnessed a lot of it during the 2015 election. You will find it difficult to see somebody who will say the same thing in the morning and say the same thing in the afternoon, and also now say the same thing in the evening." This is coming from Jonathan, and honestly, this is very funny considering the fact that, stories have it that the PDP are trying to woo him to run for presidency in 2027. So for a man who says he's been backstabbed, a man who has cried out that he was betrayed in 2015 elections, I'm curious to see how it plays out, if he's going to fall for it. Now, the other day I saw something on social media where his wife was saying, oh, we're not going back there, that if they ask her to come back to the village, she's going to turn it down. So the question is she now speaking her husband's mind? Or is she giving us a clue to the fact that her husband might decline? In the coming days, it's going to be really interesting. Moving on to my second story of interest, police summon ex-Kaduna Governor El-Rufai and others for disturbance of public peace. The Nigerian Police Kaduna State Command yesterday summoned a former governor of the state, Nasir El-Rufai, alongside some key members of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, in Kaduna for, among others, inciting disturbance of public peace. Now, a letter seen by newsmen further listed alleged criminal conspiracy, mischief, and causing grievous hurt as some of the allegations preferred against the former governor of Kaduna State. The letter, dated September 4th, 2025, was signed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, Uzainu Abdullahi. He said this department is currently investigating the above-mentioned case involving the following members of your party. You are requested to come along with them to the SCID to clarify allegations reported against them by the complainants on the 8th of September 2025. Now, the letter summoning El-Rufai and 6 others stated. Other persons listed alongside El-Rufai includes Bashiru Saidu, Jafaru Sani, Obaidullah Mohammed, a.k.a. 30, Nasiru Maikano, Aminu Abita, and Ahmed Rufai Huzani, a.k.a. Mikia. Ever since El-Rufai joined the ADC, it's just been one drama to the other. And, he seemed to have come out to be saying a lot of things about his former party. And it seemed like the more he does, the more problem he gets into. But we'll see what they make out of this thing in the coming days. I mean, he's been invited alongside other people to come in on the 8th of September. So we're anticipating what that meeting is going to yield. And lastly, on my story of interest, this is from INEC. It says, new parties seeking INEC registration surge to 171. Now, the story says the number of associations seeking registration as political parties has risen to 171, following the submission of 19 additional letters of intent. The Independent National Electoral Commission has confirmed on Thursday. Now, in a statement, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, said the updated list has been published on the Commission's website and other official platforms. He said, since our last update, 19 more letters of intent have been received, bringing the total to 171 as of September 3rd, 2025. Details of the latest submission are available on our website, Olumekun said. Now, he added that a review committee set up by the Commission has completed its assessment of the applications and submitted recommendations for final consideration. The Commission urged applicants to be patient and avoid practices that could delay their approval. And my question is, who are these people making up 171 parties? Please, by all means, right? Who are these people? Is it a situation of where 2 or 3 are gathered? Because, it's just sad that we only know but a few, right? And like I would always say, yes, it's okay to have as many parties for people to contest under as possible. But I hope the drive is not just because you hate a particular person. I hope the dream is to make a better Nigeria, and then I hope it is not an avenue to make money, right? I hope we have the right mindsets to these things that we're clamoring for, because I really don't know. 171? Really? even the ones that we know are already in disarray. You hear Labour Party and their own brouhaha going on in their party. You hear PDP having their own controversies. You know, even APC is not left out. Just yesterday, ADC are already having, first of all, their first problem was the people that were in leadership prior to when others started defecting into it. And now they started crying foul that, oh, you people can't just come in and throw over the leadership that was existing prior to your arrival. So that already has caused chaos in the party. Now, we have a lot of people that want to run. We don't even know who is running. So there's a lot of disagreements, a lot of chaos, really, in the ADC that we thought, okay, these guys. And like somebody said, I hope you people are not just coming together with a goal of common hate. I hope you're really coming in with the intention for a better Nigeria. So these 171 new parties, I wish you well. And may the best man get approved, because it shouldn't just be a case of let's see what we can do. You should have Nigeria at the back of your mind. It shouldn't, you know, like I said, have Nigeria at the back of your mind. So I really, really cannot wait for 2027, because I want to see what all of this is going to yield. And if you don't have your PVC right now, is the best time to have it, because that is your right, you know, as a Nigerian. Let's stop sitting in our houses and condemning the leadership. Let's stop, you know, come outside and do something. Yes, some people say, oh, don't worry, they're going to buy votes. My vote will not count. Play your part and leave the rest. That is your primary obligation as a citizen of Nigeria. Anyway, this is it. This is all the news story I have for you today. I'm going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive right into our topic tonight. Stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, tonight's discussion is centered on the judiciary and democracy. Are they still the last hope of the common man, or are they now simply a political tool? So I want to hear you. I want to hear your opinion. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending me an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. And also, my phone lines are open now. You can call on 070-2500-7749 and also on 0701-4242-420. Let me hear what you have to say. Now, clearly, the judiciary sits at the very heart of Nigeria's democracy, a place where the hopes of the citizens collide with the realities of politics and power. The rulings we've seen in recent times reminds us that the courts are not just arbiters of the law, but powerful institutions that can shape governance, influence policies, and ultimately determine the direction of our democracy. But with all this influence comes responsibility and scrutiny. Many Nigerians still question whether our courts are truly independent, impartial, and capable of delivering justice without fear or favor. Now, to help us unpack these issues, and reflect on the role of the judiciary in safeguarding Nigeria's democracy, I'm now being joined by Professor Simeon Nna, a public affairs analyst. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good evening. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
All right. So let's dive into it. For those of us who are not lawyers, we have a lot of expectations or assumptions on the role of the judiciary in stabilizing democracy. And perhaps that is why when the people don't see things done the way they expect, they react. Now, for instance, the suspension of Rivers State Governor Fubara. And even after a lot of people have gone to court to say, oh, the president doesn't have the power to do that, the Supreme Court, to the best of my knowledge, has been quiet on it. So these, it's about time for him to return. His suspension is almost over. These raise questions as to the role of the judiciary and its ability to brave up to do its work when the issues are before them. So please, could you help us make sense of this situation?
Thank you very much. Well, growing up, we are told that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you for free today that even from the political arena, that judiciary is the worst nightmare of the common man. I'm saying this advisedly with some issues in mind. You mentioned the issue of Rivers State.
Yes.
You saw a situation where all the senior advocates have listened to have pointed to sections 305 and sections 11 sub 4. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just quoting what they have been saying, that even if you read those two jointly and severally, that the president has no right to appoint a civilian administrator. Going by a benefit of hindsight, during the administration of Jonathan, President Goodluck Jonathan, there was state of emergencies, and he wanted to remove the governor, and he was advised by the Attorney General, no, you can't remove a governor. You have the right to declare a state of emergency, but you don't have powers to remove the governor of a state. Because the governor of a state is an elected governor.
That's right.
The president is not a headmaster or a principal that will remove a teacher at his whims and caprices. No. The Constitution is very clear. He cannot remove a governor. He can only appoint, he can only declare a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Now, that's done. Again, the head of state went ahead, the president went ahead to present the budget of Rivers State. And I've heard from several people that that's an aberration. The question now is, who is going to sign that budget? Is it himself as a president, signing as a president and the governor of a state? Because the Constitution is very clear that it is only the governor that has a right to sign any law of a state. And, I've asked some lawyers and they said that the Constitution did not envisage that the governor and the House should be removed at the same time. That is why that law did not make provision for any other person to sign any law concerning a state. So who signs that budget now? It's approved by the House of Reps and the Senate. So who signs it? Is it the president that's going to sign? That's another illegality if he does that. Okay. Now, the Constitution recalled in the same Rivers State that the Sibilaya Fubara, the former governor, conducted a local government election. And the court said it was illegal. And now, an appointed person that the Constitution did not envisage, an administrator, is now selecting an election, because that was not an election, it was a selection. And selecting an election, and the courts are quiet. Matter of fact, Friday that week, a high court in Rivers State said that an appointed administrator can go on with the election. I don't understand any longer. In fact, show me a political judgment that has been given with the right standing these days, I will not only show you, I will not only show you a virgin in a maternity ward, I will show you a river in a desert, not irrigation.
All right. That analogy is so funny. Anyway, it's really sad what's going on, and I really wish we had more clarity to this, because yes, I was wondering why that election that held last week was even allowed to happen. But moving on, I don't want us to make Rivers State a case study this evening. Still on democracy and judiciary, right? When we appointed the CJ and the Chief Justice of Nigeria, right? When she was appointed, there were loads of expectations. I mean, to an extent, we have seen some movements that have sent signals to the excesses of some lawyers. But, you know, what can really be done to transform and rebuild the confidence of that sector, the judiciary now?
It will take a very long time, and we need new breeds of judges, not these ones that have been there. Like you said, when she was appointed, people expected things to take a different turn.
Yeah.
Recall that it was the judge that made the pronouncement in the governor of Imo State in 2016 or 2015, December. You know, somebody that came forth in an election was pronounced the winner of the election. Not the second person, not the third person. It was the person that came forth. It was this same chief judge today that made that pronouncement. So when she came on board, some of us were waiting whether there will be apologies and whether she's going to right some wrongs by, you know, going ahead to make some pronouncements. We are still waiting. Maybe it's too early in the day that he will change at the end of the day. See, my attitude to some of these things is that once you are coming in and you are coming in to show us that you are prepared to work, you have to show us from day one where you're coming from. I'll give you a typical example of what I'm saying.
Okay.
When Murtala Mohammed took over as the head of state of this country, one of the things he did was to hand over some of the houses he had in Kano State to federal government. And he made a declaration that the money he used in building those houses were illegal money, that he was leading the troop that conquered, that captured Enugu during the war. So he went to the central bank and carted away the money. So for him, he was justified that right now I cannot go on with this on my mind. So he handed over those houses to federal government. That's the way to go. This is a man that wants to fight corruption. And he would have fought corruption headlong, except that he was eliminated. You saw in those days, he will walk into a place by 8 o'clock, and if anybody has not come to work, the person gets sacked. So that's the kind of trajectory we want. Not this kind of, micromanaging issues. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. If somebody is coming out to show us the way, he must get himself cleaned. The lawyers they told us that he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. So you must come with clean hands. When you come with your hands soiled, there's nothing you are going to do. There's nothing you are going to do.
All right. Moving on. Now, there's this slang that flies everywhere these days since after the 2023 elections. Go to court. You know, somebody does something, say, go to court, you know? Now, this slang is flying everywhere because it's literally, sadly, translates to saying, oh, go and waste your time. Now you go tire, literally, right? And, you know, recently, a Nigerian justice, of course, said the Nigerian judiciary is on trial for inefficiency and corruption issues. Okay? So I want to ask, do you share the same sentiment? And in the case of perception, do you think the judiciary can fix this?
I think the judiciary can fix it. Let me tell you for true. In every 12, there must be a Judas. That does not mean the other 11 are Judases.
Right.
It does not mean that we don't have sane judges. We have some of them there, but they have not been able to be given the chance to perform. I want to believe that if some of them, we had some in the past, that wanted to prove a point, but they were not allowed to at appeal court. I don't want to mention names. He wanted to prove a point that he's a sound judge. Most people know him. At the end of the day, the system choked him up. Like you rightly said, in Ghana, go and make your investigation. The lawyers, the judges, the politicians are afraid of going to court. Politicians are afraid of going to court. But in Nigeria, offhandedly, with reckless abandon, politicians will tell you, go to court. Like you said, because they know nothing is going to come out of it. It's not a perception. It is a reality in these days, because we have seen it happen severally in elections. And they will offhandedly tell you, go to court. And at the end of the day, you will go to court, and nothing will come out of those courts. You'll just waste your money. Look at the election. Look at what transpired. And they said, go to court. And recall that a former chairman of the APC, a serving senator now, and a former governor, said when he was chairman of APC, that once you move over to APC, your sins are forgiven you. He said it in this country, and it was reported. The internet does not forget. It was reported. It was captured on camera saying it. So what are we saying? You see, until we begin to do the right things, we were told that in a democracy, that is for people practicing democracy, that there are three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But in our own, we just have the executive. The judiciary will be singing as their anthem, on your mandate we shall stand. What does that tell you? They are an appendage of the executive. The judiciary will be looking at the body language of the president before they do anything. What does that tell you? They are an appendage of the executive. So we just have the executive functioning. The other ones, and the executive is functioning as a principal, where he can do anything with the classroom teachers.
Anyway, still on this go to courts analogy, right? When court processes, drag on for years, justice delayed is honestly often denied, especially in this country, right? So what does it mean for democracy where timely justice is critical?
See, in other clans, and I think some people have equally advocated that nobody should be sworn in until all the court cases are done with. But in this country, you discover that once elections are over, the same INEC that is not independent. I don't know why that word should be there, because they are not independent as far as I'm concerned. So the same INEC will rush in to give them their return, whatever, and they will be sworn in. Meanwhile, the case is in court. So, but people have advocated, like places like Kenya, I think in Ghana too, people are not being sworn in until their cases are settled, and that's why they will ask you to go to court, because they don't want you are incumbent. You will use your money there as a state governor to buy the best lawyers in the land that will come and tell us how and is no longer a conjunction. They will come and construct another dictionary for us, because it is only during the 2023 election that I learned that and is no longer a conjunction, that you can read it straight. I mean, they are giving us a new lexicon in the English dictionary. For those of us that went to school in this country, we didn't hear that. I don't know whether our teachers did not read the type of books the lawyers are reading these days.
Okay. So now, who holds the judiciary accountable? Because at some point, somebody has got to hold them accountable, right? Especially when justice is miscarried. So is there self-regulation by the National Judicial Council enough? Or is it, is external oversight necessary in this case?
I think, one, external oversight is necessary. Two, the appointment of chief judges of the Federation should not be left at the whims and caprices of the president, because he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So at the end of the day, I think that a body outside the National Judicial Council, why am I saying this? When we had Onehem removed and another judge brought in, we know what transpired. That petition was written against that judge, about 14 judges. Out of 15, wrote a petition against him. And at the end of the day, nothing happened. Rather, he was celebrated because he was given over 2-point-something billion as retirement benefit. He was given the second highest honor in the land for non-performance. So I think we should have another body that should regulate the judiciary so that erring judges will be punished. Erring judges will be seen the way out. Because when people are not punished, you give others the leverage to do wrong. That's what is going on in this country. We have seen it play out, even in the aviation industry. Because people did it before and went scot-free. So others went ahead, others went ahead to do it, and more are still doing it. Because the ones that have done it, some of them are even rewarded for bad behavior. So that's the trajectory of this country.
All right. Sadly, that's the trajectory of the country. But what mechanisms now, constitutional or otherwise, can insulate, because you spoke about the three arms of government and how Nigeria isn't really, practicing that. So what mechanisms, constitutional or otherwise, can insulate the judiciary from the executive and legislative interference? Or is it totally, is it total independence? Is total independence unrealistic in this system? I think that's where I'm driving at.
Well, total independence, for now, with the kind of demonstration of grace that we are running, total independence will not be there. I'm choosing my words advisedly.
So how do we shield them from the executive and the legislative now? Yes.
You see, why it cannot happen now is because they still present their budget to the executive. So a situation where you want them to be actually independent, then they will be true and true independent. They will not be going hand in caps to the executive for budget allocations. Once that aspect is still with the executive, there is no independence because it can use the instrument of budget to checkmate them. We have seen it play out. It could use that to checkmate them. So if you want true independence, then it has to be true and true. They have to be independent of their own funds, how to source their funds without interference of the executive. Now, but there has to be a mechanism too to ensure that they are not bringing frivolous budgets. Maybe through the head of service or what have you, they should ensure that their budget is not arbitrary, and the National Assembly equally ensuring that their budget is not arbitrary. By so doing, you make them independent. But a situation where they will always go to president to beg for funds, I don't see how independent they will be. It will take somebody that has the heart of gold to still stay independent even when he's being starved of funds, because we've seen it play out. I can give you one example. One engineer, when he was appointed the MD of Nigerian Railways during the IBB days, they came, these, what do you call them? These people that operate trailers, logistic companies, came to him with loads of naira. I listened to him live on NTA2, Channel 5 in those days. And he said, when they came, he said, what for? And they said, no, they have come to see him, that's what they normally do to MDs when they are appointed. He said, no. That IBB, the president knew that he came here to work. And that was why he appointed him. So he doesn't want their money. They went away with their loads of naira. But at the end of the day, they went back and convened with the powers that be to starve him of funds. And they starved him of funds. He said he was there 18 months without funds. He resigned out of frustration. You see, so that's what we're saying. So except you make them independent, where they can source their funds independent, at a point in time, they will be weakened and they will want to go and prostrate for funds. And once they do that, you know the power that the president will wield. He will not tell them, except to do this or do that, the funds will not be made available. And in most cases, you see some of them that don't have the willpower succumbing. So it is paramount that if you want them to be independent, they must be independent of the executive through and through.
All right, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive more into more questions. Don't go anywhere.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the judiciary and democracy. So the question is the judiciary truly the last hope of the common man, or is it just a political tool? And I have been having a conversation with the public affairs analyst, Professor Simeon Na. Thank you for still staying with us, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, great. So moving on quickly, I have another question. So Nigeria's election these days are often decided more in the courts than at the ballot boxes, right? So should courts continue to play such a dominant role in determining election outcomes? And doesn't that show a failure and lack of democracy? Because now it's even difficult convincing people to come out and vote, because we'll keep seeing tribunals. Look at, we're still even sorting out 2023 election, and they are over 2 years into power. So do you think the court should, how do we fix it? Because this is a dominant role now that the court is playing, the judiciary is playing. And do you think it shows a failure and lack of democracy?
You have democracy in the first place. There's a total failure, a total collapse of democracy. And like I said earlier, the politicians have made it so that what we've been having in Nigeria, if you ask me, is selections, not elections. We've been having people selected to offices, because you see a situation where it will be glaringly clear that somebody won an election, and at the end of the day, another individual is introduced, and they will begin to manipulate the constitution and begin to say several things. At the end of the day, they will go to court and they will stand. I'll give you a typical example of what I'm trying to say. The former Senate president, the last Senate president before this one, now contested the presidential election. So while the presidential election was going on, in his state, the primaries for the Senate was held, and somebody won that primaries. He came back and he offered to, make that person comfortable so that he will leave the seat. The person said, no, I won the primaries and I want to go to the Senate. And before you know it, the party did one thing or the other. They went to court, and at the end of the day, that man was denied that position. That former Senate president is in the Senate today. So when they ask you to go to court, they know what they are saying, because they know the court goes to the highest bidder, as far as I'm concerned. You see, the issue of going to court in this country, all of us know that devil is in the details. That's why they can freely tell you to go to court. That is it.
Sadly so. Sadly so indeed. So now, with all of these things, do you think judicial reforms are needed at this point, or do you think they're going to be useless at this point? And if you think they're needed, what kind of reforms should we prioritize to strengthen our democracy, the little that we still have?
I had profiled some solutions earlier. If the judicial reforms and the electoral reforms are paramount. And a lot of people are saying if there are no judicial or electoral reforms going to 2007, that they will not bother themselves to come out to vote. Because at the end of the day, it will be an exercise in futility. It's a no-brainer that our votes don't count. Anybody who does not know that does not know anything. Our votes don't count. So there must be serious electoral reforms, serious judicial reforms. And one of the things that must be done is that the president should not be appointing the chief judge of the federation. And then this thing they are saying, separating the minister of justice and the chief judge of the federation, because one is political. So let them separate the two, so that there will be two individuals manning those two positions. And again, let their allowances and salary, let their their budget be independent of what the presidency is doing, so that at the end of the day they can be held accountable. I think with this and some other reforms and lawyers will bring on board, we can be looking up to the judiciary to do something that will be akin to giving justice to the federation. But for now, I think it is not good to say that our judges have failed us. Otherwise, I would have said that.
Okay. So you said plainly our votes don't count.
It doesn't count.
So what
Anyone
are you
that does not know
saying?
that doesn't know anything.
What are you saying to Nigerians? Because, I mean, we're not telling them, oh, go get your PVCs and vote as your constitutional right. If you said the votes don't count, what are you telling Nigerians, especially the youth who really want a better Nigeria? I mean, look at the brain drain. Look, everybody's leaving the country. But in actual sense, we really don't want to leave. So if you sit and say votes don't count, what is the fate of Nigerians?
The truth remains that anybody that does not know that our votes don't count is being economical with the truth. That's
so
a fact.
What should we do?
So
Election days, we don't come out?
What we should do is that during the days of election, we should cast our votes and ensure that we wait there to get the results of our vote in our polling stations. We should equally ensure that while we are there, that's why we're advocating for these electoral reforms, that the presiding officer will transmit the results direct to INEC portal. The problem we're having is between that place to local government and local government to state coalition centers. That's where the manipulations come in. But if the electoral reforms are done, once the election finishes, all the agents will be there. The presiding officer will transfer the result to the INEC portal direct. Then I think at the end of the day, internet don't lie, although they will come out and tell us there are glitches again. But if there will be no glitches, then we should be able to get the right result at the end of the day. But outside that, I don't see our votes counting. Not now, not in the future, except these electoral reforms are done.
Okay, so whatever rigging, injustice that transpired during the season of elections is done, they use Nigerians. So I'm going to bring in the angle of weaponizing poverty these days, right, in Nigeria. So that makes some Nigerians also share in the blame. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, you said it. When they weaponize poverty, they make people very poor that they cannot even have one triangular meal. Leave the square out of it because there's nothing square about it now. They can't get one triangular meal in a day. What do you expect them to do? So if somebody comes to dangle a carrot, they will take the carrot. But the thing is that they should look at their conscience again. They can take that bread and eat the bread or the 2,000 or the 5,000 and still vote their conscience. After all, the person will not follow them to go to the polling booth. In fact, the law should be enforced that all these people going to site when people are thumb printing, it should be taken as an electoral fraud or electoral malpractice, and they should be arrested because people should not. It is a secret ballot. It's a secret ballot. So when somebody is peeing to find out where somebody is thumb printing, that becomes an offense. So the people should collect that money. After all, it's their tax money, or some of them that can be able to pay tax, because a lot of the poorest of the poor don't have anything to pay as tax. So at the end of the day, at least somebody in their family would have been paying tax. It's a tax of their family that they are collecting. So let them go there, collect what they want to collect, and vote their conscience. But I would rather advise that they shouldn't collect anything, because that one meal or two meals will not solve any problem in their life. So their best bet is to say no to those things and go right there and vote their conscience. Because when you collect money from somebody, there's a way it will prick your conscience if you go there and do otherwise. Because there is still this law of sowing and reaping. Whatever you sow, you are going to reap. So that's why I will advocate that they should not collect anything from them. Let them reject them with their money so that it will be done on them that the right things are supposed to be done in the place. But the situation where they dangle these carrots and people take them, in fact, Nigeria has become a country of palliatives. Government will come with one policy that does not favor anybody. The next day they come out with palliatives to cushion the effect. I don't know how these palliatives are going to cushion the effect of anything. The government is beating its chest now that they have done well, that they have exceeded their budget, their revenue targets for the year in August, or they have achieved that in August. The question is, how did they achieve that? All agencies of government that are not revenue generating are now generating revenue, including police, including internal Minister of Interior, and every other agency of government. They are now revenue generating agencies. So why would you achieve your distance? What is the tariff at the ports? Increased abysmally. So why will they tell us that they are increasing? And they even came out to say that it is from non-oil proceeds. So it's from taxes, and we know it. So it's not something that people should roll out their drums. How does that affect the common man in the village? How does that affect me as an individual? And affect you sitting in the studio as an individual? Has your life improved? The answer is no.
Okay. You know, speaking about palliatives, I've always wondered what the sharing formula is, because it doesn't seem to get to the people that really need it. I mean, if you go to some rural areas, they will tell you that they've never gotten any. I don't think I've ever gotten any palliative, you know, from, I mean, dating back to COVID-19, right? You would expect, you know, and it's really sad. But before we go tonight, so what is your projection if this judiciary continues on this current trajectory? 10 years from now, what happens to Nigeria's democracy?
If the politicians continue with the politics, mark my words, I'm choosing them carefully. Politicians continuing with their politics, because what they are playing now is not politics, it's politics. And the judiciary continues the way they are going. Then this little demonstration of grace will now go out of hand. And don't ask me what is going to happen, because I'm not going to say so. Because politicians don't learn. If politicians learn any lesson, they would have known that we had done this trajectory before and they didn't pan out well for the country.
Thank you so much, Professor Nna, a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we hope to bring you on this show for more conversations.
You're welcome, and do have a lovely evening rest.
You too. Thank you so much. Now, as we've seen already know, democracy cannot stand without a judiciary that is fair, independent and trusted. When justice is delayed or compromised, the people lose faith and democracy weakens. Now, the challenge before Nigeria is simple. Our courts must rise above politics and stand firmly on the side of justice. And only then can our democracy truly thrive. Thank you so much for listening to me tonight, and you can still send in your comments on our YouTube channel. And before I go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact, like I said earlier. Most importantly, follow us on all our social media engagements. And remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. If you missed the quote we shared earlier, here it is. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that was said by Martin Luther King Jr. I'll see you on Monday, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.